Authority. My plan right now is to have the attorney with Hand Arundel, who's helping us with that, come and brief generally the options for the council with that. Is it doable? What does that look like? What are the pros and cons for that in a redevelopment authority on the May 16th work session? One of the questions that I had to you on that would be, would you like to extend the time of the work session on May 16th to be able to absorb that presentation?
Does anybody have an objection to? So you would recommend coming in an hour early?
I would. I think that it's going to take some time for that, and we may have some other information that we can talk about with that. But
everybody good with a 4:00 start time on May 16th? That's 2 weeks from today. All right. Beverly, just make sure we get that.
Okay. The paving project for 3B is substantially complete, other than the remaining item, if you recall last time, was still the agreement that we had with the Methodist Church. There were some issues with the soil in terms of settling, and that's still ongoing. Unless Glenn corrects me, I think we're still waiting on that. Let's see, the Public Building Authority, that meeting has been published May 9th, I believe. Is that right, Beverly? At 2 p.m. here in the Mayor's Conference Room, or is it here in the Council Chambers? Mayor's Conference Room. So May 9th at 2 p.m. So with that, we talk about City Hall, and I know some staff and employees here at the city and probably the public are impatient with that. My intent would be to have the Public Building Authority give them some sort of a deadline of maybe 30 days or so to come up with a proposal. I'm still, in my calculations, depending on the course of action that's selected, it could range to do City Hall between 9 and 18 months, depending on which options. Like if City Hall was totally or substantially vacated, it would reduce the time frame for a remodel. But look sometime in the beginning of the fourth quarter to do that, either a partial or full vacation of City Hall, with completion potentially as early as third quarter of 24. Does that sound like a decent plan? Obviously dependent on budgets and what's worked out, but would you be okay with the city's position in terms of presenting that to the Public Building Authority?
Yeah, I mean, I think our goal for this quarter is simply to convene them and have a recommendation. So it sounds like if they had 30 days, that would come back in the month of June at some point, and we would stay on track with our goal. So
okay.
So everybody.
Did you say May 9th?
2 p.m.
Of course, and then our goal for this year on City Hall is to have it under construction. So,
I think
we're
that
going to be still.
I think fourth quarter is possible.
Yeah.
On that goal.
Yeah.
So on the pickleball facilities and the spec building at the airport, both of those are out to bid, and bid openings are, I think, on May 4th for both of those.
So that's Thursday.
So we should have something at the next council meeting for you to either look at and see if you want to approve it if it's in budget. We're hopeful that it will be. City website still on track sometime this summer, hopefully sooner than later in the summer. And then I know Barry has been working with Alan Mahan and Glenn Morgan on trying to figure out the scope of the project for GIS mapping. I think we'll have something by the end of this quarter for you on that as a potential course of action, at least a cost estimate and the scope of the project for both the city and then to the water board a scope for them as well.
All right. Any questions on our Q2 goals? Sounds like for the most part on track.
Yes, sir.
All right. If there's no questions on that, we'll move to our regular meeting agenda in y'all's big packets. Beverly, I know you sent out a small change to the accounts payable A. Is that right? Was that the only change? All right. So we're going to have the roll call, pledge of allegiance, prayer, approve the agenda, and our consent agenda, which consists of our work session minutes from April 4th and 18th, our city council meeting minutes from April 18th. We've got accounts payable A as amended, and accounts payable B. Then contract billings in the amount of $75,000. We've got Blankenship for the ongoing 167 sewer utility project. They're relocating those sewers. Poly for the same project for engineering services. KPS Group for contract planning services. That's the comprehensive plan progress billing. And Fine Getty, which is our state governmental affairs contractor. And we've got some travel requests from administrative department and from HR department. So any questions on the consent agenda? Anything we need to pull out or discuss? All right, then we've got a permit closure for Main Street Enterprise and Military Appreciation Day. Do we need to talk about this? What, Jonathan, was this something that you and I exchanged emails on? Some additional closures on this permit request?
So Tammy had asked me to get with the council, and since we were meeting tonight, the event that I think the initial closure just mentioned East College Street, and that needs to be extended to West College Street from like 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. on West College. And the reason for that is for the media to set up. So if you know, they're doing that big event highlighting the city, particularly the downtown area, but they're going to be all over the city. And we did not include that portion of College Street.
So the street closure needs to, not only does it need...
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I texted or sent you an email about.
Was not military appreciation.
Was not military appreciation. It had to do with the street closure for.
Are we addressing that tonight, Tammy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's just addition. We already had one.
Okay, well let's talk about Military Appreciation Day street closure now. My apologies.
No, that's fine. Okay, so Military Appreciation Day, originally we thought we were going to close both sides of College. Now that we've kind of got that whole event planned out, we realize we're only going to be utilizing East College. So I just changed the hours to the correct hours. So really I'm asking for less.
So you're asking for 2 to 9, East College only.
Yep.
So as it's stated on our agenda, we're good to go.
Yep.
All right. Any questions, Mariah, on that?
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, then so you say we're addressing that other one tonight. Do we need to add it to our agenda?
Well, that's what I sent you the email about, was to find out what you wanted to do. So
okay.
the street closure request for this hometown series that the news is doing on Enterprise is going to be on May 5th.
Okay.
So that's coming up
Friday.
Yeah. So that closure was for East College Street from 1 to 9 p.m. And so we went on. You approved that several council meetings ago. And Tammy came to me this morning and said, "Hey, we really need West College closed as well from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. to handle the media where they were going to set up." And I didn't think about including that in the street closure. So I kind of wanted to toss it to you in work session about, what do you want to do? Is that enough time to get it to you? Typically we don't do that. I didn't want to make it unfair for Beverly or anybody else to have to add it to the agenda without really understanding what your thoughts were on it.
I mean, Scotty, Greg, Sonia, anybody opposed to approving that request from
No.
staff?
No.
Rainer, are there any notification issues with approving that tonight? So why don't either you or Tammy or somebody come forward during staff reports and very clearly ask for a motion from us?
Can we amend the current street closure to include West College Street, or would we?
Yeah, I think you would just be asking us to amend that that prior approved request.
Okay.
Just
So I did fill a form out. We have a specific form that we fill out for these street closures, and so I do have that.
why don't you get us a copy of that so we can look at it as you're explaining that to us, and we can do that in staff reports. We don't. No,
I got a question back on the Military Appreciation Day. It says we previously approved the back. So do we really have to just the hour? We're just changing a little bit on it. I mean, do we have to do it again? No, I'm talking about Military Appreciation.
Yep.
It says previously approved by the council March 7th. Permit just been revised.
so we typically
Have we-
would approve the change.
Add a minute just because, okay.
Yeah, we're just amending it, which is what y'all are asking for
Yeah.
the hometown
Okay.
tours also.
So,
Correct.
So amend it. Okay.
So yeah, just bring us a request in staff reports for that.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that? That way we don't have to amend the agenda or anything. I'll just bring it in staff reports.
Okay.
All right, then we'll move to privilege of the floor and staff reports where we'll address that issue. Moving on to old business, we have a rezone hearing for GG&K LLC pertaining to 0.57 acres of land owned by GG&K. They're moving that from R100 to R65, located at 105 Smith Drive. Barry, Thomas, anybody have anything we need to know about that? Okay. Public hearing, consideration of ABC license request for the Barrel Room. That's changed ownerships to Three Plates LLC. We're going to have a hearing tonight on their request. Also with Pop Shelf, they have a ABC license request, and we've got that hearing tonight. Then police department vehicles, a bid recommendation. Chief Moore, we need to know anything? So it looks like we're awarding the bid to Mitchell, which is slightly higher than Stivers, but it sounds like the specifications were a little different.
Yes, well, I think the specifications were just about the same, but it's well within the 3 and 5%.
Right.
And talking to the timing of getting both vehicles, it really wouldn't matter. Talking 90 days versus possible 120 days. So as we always have attempted to do, is to give local preference, and I'd much rather do that anyways. That I don't have to send somebody to Montgomery, Fort Payne, or anything else.
And our local preference is 3%, right?
I believe it's 3%. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's a difference of about $600.
Right, which would be well within 3%. We do about 1,200 or so. Yes, so we're good. Any questions? Everybody okay with the local preference? All right. Then moving on to new business, we've got 2 wastewater treatment plant resolutions. Glenn, you want to explain to us? I know we do this every year.
Thank you. Yes, this is an annual, and MWPP stands for Municipal Wastewater Pollution Prevention Reports. It's annual reports that is filled out basically by staff every year, and it basically informs the council and administration about the condition of the treatment plants as well as the collection system. It's a points-based system, so the points go from 0 to like maximum, I think, 783. The lower the points, the better the system. So points are tallied for like exceeding the permit limit, uncorrected sanitary sewer overflows, exceeding design criteria during the year, age of the plant. Also, points are made up for plant age. The lower the points, like I said, the better the system is performing. Just to summarize what the report says, for the 2022 reporting period, which is what this is for, the annual. Each of the plants, the College Street and the Northeast Wastewater Treatment Plant, accumulated a total of 20 points each. So, and those points were basically just age points. So, no real issues with the plants that contributed to that. Those were points based on age since the plants were upgraded in 2012, which is what it's based on. Just a little info, the projected lifespan of both plants were 20 years, and both of those plants are operating well within the design parameters at this point, and that's what that report reflects. Just to give you a little more information, based on annual averages, the Northeast plant is operating at 44% of its hydraulic design capacity and 47% of the organic design capacity. So that's good. That means there is capacity in the plant for growth. The College Street plant is operating at 22% hydraulic capacity and 28% of organic. So there's a lot of capacity in the College Street plant as well. Both of those are good things. Collection system, there's a lot of improvements made to the collection system over the last many years. And just to give you some idea there, in 2011, there were 29 sanitary sewer overflows reported in 2011. In 2022, there were only 2 sanitary sewer overflows reported by the department. So that speaks a lot to the efforts that's been done in the wastewater system to prevent blockages and things that create overflows. So that's basically a summary. It's an excellent score. It's about the best score that the plants could receive based on their age. And it really probably is something that needs to be commended toward the staff, Clay Fleming, Barry, and his staff for how the plants are operated as well as collection systems. So it's a good report.
So some of the improvements that we're looking at making in the coming years, will that reduce the age as far as this report looks at it?
It could. I'm not sure for its upgrade how intensive that may be to restart that upgrade deal, but it possibly could. I don't know. I'm not really prepared to answer that, but it's a good question if that would restart the upgrade time and decrease the age points. I'm not sure if there would be that extensive of improvements, but possible.
So if we got a 20, what score would be of concern and problematic?
Well, the way the rating scale is 0 to 70 points, they say actions as appropriate, which means that there may be some things going on that just need to be looked at and considered. ADEM says from 70 to 120 points, department recommendation range, which would mean it gets in that range. That means something is going on that the department would like, possibly something a little more than just recognizing that there's an issue, possibly looking at maybe some improvements or that type of thing. And from 121 to 783 is where things get real. Past 120 points is when things start getting a little dicey with ADEM, and obviously that gets into things that, you know, the city has been there in the past, but hopefully a long way from there at this point.
Yeah. But we still need to keep moving
There's
forward.
obviously some improvements that need to be done to both plants that are proactive, good approaches, things that are, you know, at the end of their lifespan. There's some electrical issues at the College Street plant, things that do need to be done, and some front-end treatment things and screening at the Northeast plant, which is what is part of this SRF application that was put in that need doing. They do, yeah.
Barry, do you have some input on that?
Glenn just touched on it. Most of the work that we're talking about doing for this next cycle is updating the screens and some tweaking at the plants. It's not really an overhaul. I don't think that's going to greatly affect our score for next year. But one of the things we'll be doing as we go through both these plants and doing these improvements, we're fixing some things that need to be fixed, that are just maintenance issues that need to be addressed. But we're also going to look at a master plan, kind of capitalize what's coming down the road. What do we need to be planning for so that we don't wait till, hey, we got to do this next year. So that'll be part of when we select the consultant to do the work at the plants doing that. I hope to have that on the street in the next 30 days for the consultants to submit their packages and pick somebody to move forward with that project. But I don't think it's going to affect our score. It's just what we're doing is very
Which we have an acceptable score, so the goal will be just to stay in that range.
And we've done a great job, I think, for keeping those scores down. I don't think it's anything we need to be tremendously concerned about, but we do need to recognize those plants are getting a little bit older. And we need to come up with a capital plan for what is the next project, big project at the plants, and what does that look like, and what is it going to cost, and when do we need to be planning for that? So we have a roadmap for the wastewater treatment plants.
When you say capacity, it sounds like we're in the 50% range, northeast 20, mid-20s. Does that mean we could double our capacity, double our usage in northeast and quadruple it in College
I don't think you
Street?
ever want to run to 100% of your capacity. Typically, I like to run 80%. I don't know what Glenn likes, but 80% is kind of where I start getting a little uneasy. So we've got plenty of room in both plants, but the things also we want to look at is where's our growth going to be in the city over the next 10 to 20 years? What are we forecasting, and where's that sewer going to go? And trying to identify, what do we need to be planning for in the future? Not just for just the age of the system, but also do we need to look for capacity in these plants? That's something we will be considering and looking at during this next phase.
But it's safe to say we've got more room to grow on the south side than
Yes, sir.
on the north side.
Yes, sir. Both plants, though, are operating very well.
Any other questions?
No, I just could say preventive maintenance goes a long way. It sounds like
Absolutely.
that's what's happening now.
And that's what we're going to use this next project for is to catch up on some of that preventive maintenance stuff, things that we know that we've got to do. We've got to screen this out at Northeast that we've got to take care of, and that's going to be a pretty substantial amount of money. It's not a tens of thousands thing. It's going to be more than that.
Yeah.
So things we need to do, but we're taking care of. I think we're addressing the things we need to take care of. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
One thing I did want to mention that the Northeast wastewater treatment plant permit was set up for renewal, and we filed that permit renewal, and we actually have got a draft permit on the Northeast plant. What happens when you get these permits from ADEM, you don't know if they change the limits. These are like, I think, 6-year permits. So you're always a little nervous. If they change the limits, it could change the production of that plant considerably. So but we do have the draft permit, and it's good to know that none of the limits changed very much, not substantial changes at all to the permit. So that's a real good thing. I just wanted to mention that. We just got that draft permit, so that's hopefully,
For 6 more
yeah.
years that we're in good shape.
Yeah, with limits. So that's good.
All right. Great. Any other questions regarding sewer? All right. Then we've got a request permission to purchase playground equipment from Billy. Sorry, Billy. So this is for the Weeda Street.
Make official record on it. Really? We're straightening him out, Ms. Rich, right? Yeah, I appreciate that. This is budgeted items. We plan to each year we work on different parks, and Weeda Street is one of them that we'd like to work on this year and making improvements. I've met with Miss Rich about it, and we presented, showed her what the playground would look like. I don't know if they have copies of this. Okay, but anyway, this is just to give you a sample rundown. What it's going to look like. As far as the playground, the pavilion structure you'll see is similar to what we did at Dawson Park. So we're just trying to make sure we have the right style playground that will be functional for the youth when they're out there enjoying the park, and also the size structure of pavilion for any family members and all if they like to host activities and picnicking and stuff like that. So right now we're asking permission to be able to purchase the equipment so we can get that on order, get it here so we can do the install in-house for all the equipment. And then plus there'll be some additional things that will come to you in the near future to other improvements such as the parking lot, address the parking lot area, and then also address the signage. And so, but anyway, this is just the beginning stage of request for the park. And the Weeda Street Park is located on Weeda Street, just right down the road, right behind us, right across from Lewis and Smith Electric.
Any questions or concerns regarding the playground equipment or the pavilion? That's two agenda items.
I was going to ask, will there be any special adaptive type equipment, special needs, just something to go along with this in this particular park that we could think about? Those that need something like that. Might be a good place since you get new equipment.
You're going to have yes and no.
Okay.
So they're all supposed to be designed so that if you have some handicap accessible to try to be able to enjoy and play on it. The swing set would definitely be one of them.
So, but
Did you see that picture I sent you? That one swing set with the child on one side and that?
and the parents on the other?
Right.
Yes.
Do we have
We
those?
have one at the Henderson Park.
I thought we did.
Yeah, we sure do.
Somebody. Okay. Thank you.
All right. We've got a request to designate the implementing transit provider. This is, Jonathan, you want to explain this to us? I think this is obviously connected to our goal to move towards some.
Yeah, this is just formalizing the Regional Planning and Development Commission doing business as Wiregrass Transit as our transit provider. And this is in expectation that they would go out and be able to seek grant funding on behalf of the city through ALDOT and the Department of Transportation to be able to execute should the council approve funding in next year's budget.
All right, any questions about this? All right, thank you. And we've got a request to hire a seasonal student worker 2 for the sanitation department. Actually, it'd be shared between Public Works and Engineering, right?
It would be, and this
Yeah.
is something that I think the mayor talked to one or more of the council members about implementing this and trying to get ahead of it before all the students were out for. I think there's been some interest from some engineering students about potential of doing work. Now, one thing that I will mention that I think we got our wires crossed initially because we were thinking this was like an internship. And Christina is currently working on trying to develop that, but that will take a lot more time. We may be through the summer before we do that. And what that means is we're going to have to really define the scope of each internship by department, what they're going to be able to do. And so we thought that this seasonal student worker, which was already a position description that was available, would meet those needs instantaneously, and then we could work on the internship, later on in the year.
And we feel like we can fit this within the current budget of Public Works.
So I talked to Barry Mott about that, and I think that they have enough under in payroll right now that this would be a good fit. If not, we could take it out of admin. Those are the two areas we looked at. We used this for admin last year when we had a student worker, and I think that was still in the budget for this year. So there were a couple options, but I thought if they were going to be doing the work there and it was in the budget, that Barry was okay with doing that, it would be more appropriate. But
Okay. Any questions on the student worker? And the last item is the street closure request regarding the striping project on College Street. Anything we need to know about this other than what's written?
no, I think this was just a good target of opportunity while Wiregrass was here finishing up our paving project and doing some striping, because they're going to be doing the parking lot as well while they were there, to go ahead and do that.
All right. Anything y'all wish to add to the agenda? Deletions, corrections? Everybody good with it? Doesn't sound like we need to add anything. We'll just do that the request to amend the permit during staff reports.
And Tammy's going to get that information for you in your folders.
Also, Tammy and Mariah, let's move y'all's report to staff reports. We're running a few minutes behind. I want to make sure we have time to discuss this real estate good name and character issues. So we've got a request to go into executive session from our city attorney Cotter and Jonathan Tullos, our city administrator, regarding real estate and a good name and character issue. Any other subjects we need to add to this? Real estate, good name and character. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second, to go into executive session regarding real estate and good name and character. There any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We expect this to take about 25 minutes, and we don't expect to discuss anything else in work session, but we will adjourn to our regular meeting at 6 o'clock.
Billy, go ahead, mix your bitch, get on you tomorrow.
We're waiting on the study.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we could call the room to order. I'd like to call this meeting of the Enterprise City Council to session. Let the record show that all members of the council, other than Eugene Goolsby, are present. If you would, please stand with me for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. We've got Pastor Alfred Townsend from New Way Church to say the opening prayer.
Father, thank you so much for the wonderful privilege and honor for us just to be able to talk to our Father. Thank you for this community in which we live and be connected, pointed, and more official. Father, please thank you so much for being given courage, guidance, and support. And Father, give us the citizens that they represent us, that knowledge and know how to come to them with meaningful discussion and civil discussion. We're always grateful for you all. In Jesus' name.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, Council, you've got the agenda in front of you in your packet that we discussed in the prior work session. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the City Council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the City Council. I'll now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Let the record show that I'll be abstaining due to a conflict with Accounts Payable B. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a permit street closure request for Main Street Enterprise Military Appreciation Day. I call for a motion to approve the following permit requests. Military Appreciation Day 2023 event time and date 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, June 10th, 2023. The rain date is Saturday, June 17th, 2023. The street closure is 2 to 9 p.m. and the closure area is East College Street from Edwards to Main. This was previously approved by the council on March 7th, 2023, but the permit has been revised to reflect a change in the street closure area. Do I hear a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now have privilege of the floor, which is the time of the meeting for anyone present here from the public tonight to address the council on anything they wish. Each individual will be given 3 minutes to address the council. I would like to call your attention to a few public hearings that we've got down below for some rezones and some ABC license requests. If you're here to address the council about those items, please hold your comments for those public hearings. If it's for anything else, then now would be that time. Yes, sir. Please speak directly in the microphone and tell us your name.
My name is Paul Peresso. I live at 401 Holly Hill. I'm speaking tonight about my concern about a vacation rental by owner next door to me at 403 Holly Hill. I just want you to be aware 403 Holly Hill is 50 feet from Holly Hill School, the playground at Holly Hill School. I don't think parents have been notified that there's a Hope Motel within 50 feet of their playground. I think that's a very important matter, and I think there needs to be some discussion about that. Secondly, I'm wondering, is anybody checking the database of registered pedophiles, because you're basically allowing a motel to be within 50 feet of the school, and dozens of kids walk by this motel every day. And, you know, we're very strict about pedophiles registering them. A pedophile could come and rent this property for an extended period and nobody would know it. They could go into that playground, they could grab a kid in that playground, take him to the wooded area behind, and that's the last we would see of that child. This is a residential area. When we moved here 20-something years ago, it's because it was a good, safe neighborhood. It's not. You're now opening it up to businesses. This vacation rental by owner rents out 4 or 5 nights a week to different people almost every night. One night there were 15 cars there, over 40 people. And I just don't think it's appropriate. That should not be allowed in a residential area, especially one adjacent to a school. And I think if you are going to continue to run it like that, I think parents of those school children should be notified and made aware that there's a motel adjacent to their school. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm Charles Walker. I live at 101 Bay Street. I walk around that block every day and talk to the people there. None of them think this is necessary. I've got the covenants. I was born and raised here. My house was the first house built over there in Martin Heights subdivision. The covenants say this place, this area, is single family dwelling purpose only. Now, we thought that was enough, and frankly, we thought people had enough sense not to do this around the school. Easter weekend, the high day of our Christian nation, we had 20 cars parked over there with a block party, 20 or more people out there. There had to be 40 or 50 individuals in that home. Do we have a record of who they were? Just like he spoke. He's my neighbor. He lived right across from it. All the children were kept up. Now, this is a joke for this city. For tax money? For tax money? This shouldn't have been done. I want a proposal for this school, any school area. If y'all determined to have this crap going on, get 4 or 5 blocks away from any school area before you let any of them come in. Like he says, who keeps up with who they are? Does a motel has a register. These police can go over any minute and go in there and talk to them and find out who they are. You reckon all 20 of them in a 3-bedroom house? You reckon all registered and known people there? I don't feel safe at night. They kept us up for 2 nights. This was the worst. It's been ignored by our neighborhood prior to this, but not after Easter Sunday. Police are not proactive. They can't prevent crime, but we can use some good judgment and keep it out of our neighborhoods. This is not I think your family had a home there, right down on the block. Hmm. You know it. Visited some when you was a teenager too, I think. I believe I remember. Went to school up there. What's my property value going to do? Does a new person going looking for a home Does he know that's a motel till after he buys it? Where's the registry sign that says motel? There is none. I think y'all just, after a little bit of money, have really hurt this town. I got 2 neighbors already saying they're going to move. 2. Because of this body wanting a few tax dollars. Just a few tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is
So
your
you-
concern Airbnb?
Yeah. VRBO, Airbnb, yeah. Anyone else? Right. Typically, we hold our comments to the end of the meeting, but we can give comments at the end. Anybody else want to take privilege of the floor? All right, we'll move on to staff reports. Yes, ma'am.
Hey there. Okay, so I wanted to just take a minute to review the renderings that I had sent to you via email last week of the 123 South Main Street lot. The renderings are actually over there for display, just showing what the Main Street Enterprise Design Committee came up with for that space, with the goal of turning it into just like a community location, bring some life back to that area. So I just wanted to make sure to inform you guys of that and see if you had any questions, as we would like to use it to display while we're doing fundraising with the Main Street Enterprise Organization Committee.
All right, any comments, concerns? No, I think it looks
Great.
good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Oh, you going to speak to us about the autism?
No, I'm gonna table that, sir.
Okay.
Street closure.
Okay. So we're not going to discuss the autism weevil in downtown.
I'm not going to discuss that today. What I'm
Okay.
going to, well, I could fill you in a little bit. I'm going to send you guys something, read ahead packet. It's going to be a contract, but we do have a donation being considered that we want you to consider of a weevil to the city, but we still have some documents we need to
Okay.
put together. So if you'll look out for an email, I'll have that for you, and we'll address that in work session 2 weeks from now.
All right.
But I do have another item. I can
Yep.
address you. I do need to request for an amendment to the previously approved street closure. You've got it in your packet. There's actually a street closure that was approved on the 8th of March. It was for the Boll Weevil Block Party. This approved closure was for May 5th, which is this Friday, and it's a closure of East College from 1 to 9 p.m. I'm requesting an amendment to that to include West College now in that closure. It will be from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., so it's a little bit earlier, but it closes at the same time or reopens at the same time. I'm asking for that to be added. That will be for the use of the WTVY film crew that's coming down for Hometown Tour. So it's just an amendment. The East College will stay. This is adding West College, which I've given you an additional sheet with that information.
Is everybody in receipt of the information? All right. All right. Any questions of Ms. Dorr? Do I hear a motion to approve her request?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve this amendment to the application for a parade, public event, or demonstration permit. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
We hope
Anything
that you
else?
guys will come down. We've got the Hometown Tour this Friday, block party, so it's going to be a great chance to highlight our city.
Nice. Thank you, Tim. Any other staff reports?
Mayor, council members, as you know, the city is transitioning in June to a new Munis platform, financial software platform for the city. As a result, our financial server will be down June 29th and 30th. After consulting with the mayor and talking to Leanne, our CFO, and Christina Meisner, our HR director, one of the recommendations that we wanted to put forward at the next council meeting, barring any objections, would be to close City Hall to the public for those 2 dates. We won't be able to take payments or issue permits that deal with our Munis system, but we do have other things that staff can be working on. We have a lot of projects. We have a lot of files and scanning of those files to digitization. Each department has their own, unique things that they would be dealing with, and then essential services certainly wouldn't be impacted. police, fire, sanitation, those kind of things would still be going on. But I'm just talking about office staff within City Hall. So that would be the recommendation, unless you have other things that you would like us to look at for those 2 dates. But basically,
What dates were those again?
June 29th and 30th. And it would be to put on the agenda potentially as early as next council meeting so that we could give the public enough notice.
So that's the Thursday and Friday before July 4th holiday.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions?
I have a question, just a comment, just as you said, let the public know. Probably need to make some extreme efforts on that.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to make suggestions on that, but just, you know how at times, no matter what we do, people still don't know about it. So
Sure, absolutely.
Sonya, Scotty, y'all have any?
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Being that it's the last 2
Just before.
work days before people that are chronic about paying on certain days, just to make sure they know what their options are.
Yeah.
To maybe
Absolutely.
Pay online
And no
if it's something that
penalization,
they can do.
And we would also have to make recommendation to the water board at their next meeting. So we go ahead, Leah.
I'm sorry, just because you said pay online, the entire system is going to system is going to be down, which means self-service is going to be unavailable. There will not be any way for people to make payments online or do any of that. So we will absolutely want to make sure that we're clear and communicate that out to the public well ahead of time, which I think is why we wanted to make sure that we bring it up here tonight
So
with you all.
Are bills due? Are there some bills that are due at the last of the calendar month?
There's 2 separate billing sites. It depends. You know, if you're talking about the water department, there's 2 billing cycles, and I want to say that the end billing cycle would not be specifically on those 2 days.
Okay. I mean, that would be my concern. Somebody comes in to
Yeah.
pay their bill, they're
Mhm.
late because of this. We would just need to make accommodations.
The other issue with that too is that there's Dropbox availability that would still be open, and as long as those payments are in there, you know, we would work to make sure that we're getting those things posted afterwards and adjusting off fees and things like that if it was necessary.
Okay.
So, but yeah, unfortunately, because the entire system's down, the online would also be down at the same time. So.
Okay. Is that it? Any other staff reports? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to old business. We'll now have a public hearing and consideration of ordinance 040423 for the GG&K LLC rezone. I'll now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of ordinance 040423, providing for the rezone of 0.57 acres of land owned by GG&K LLC from R100 Residential District to R65 Residential District located at 105 Smith Drive. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here wish to speak for or against this rezone? All right, I see no one, so I'll now close the hearing and consider a motion to adopt ordinance 040423.
I move that we adopt the ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 040423. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now have a public hearing and consideration for ABC license request from the Barrel Room. I now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of a request from 3 Plates LLC, DBA The Barrel Room, for a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license located at 2200 Ozark Highway, Suite B. This hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? Seeing none, I'll now close the hearing and entertain a motion to approve this request.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this request. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now have a public hearing and consideration of ABC license request for Pop Shelf Store 24430. I call for a public hearing prior to consideration of a request from Doll Gin Corp. LLC, DBA Pop Shelf Store 24430 for a retail table wine off-premise license only located at 704 Bowleville Circle. This hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? Seeing none, I'll now close the hearing. Do I hear a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider bid recommendation from the police department regarding their vehicles. I introduce and call for consideration of a recommendation from Police Chief Michael Moore to award bid requisition number 2023-04 for 3 2023 Dodge Durango Pursuit Package AWD vehicles to Mitchell Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at $42,214 each for a total cost of $126,642. Other bids are received are as follows: Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram for $41,602.36. This recommendation comes with the local preference option that we're allowed to exercise. So do I hear a motion to approve this recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now move on to new business to review and consider Resolution 050223, the MWPP College Street Wastewater Treatment Plant. I introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 050223, providing for the adoption of the Municipal Water Pollution Prevention MWPP Annual Report for MPDES permit number AL0020036 for the College Street Wastewater Treatment Facility. The report sets forth the actions and schedule necessary to maintain effluent requirements contained in the permit and to prevent the bypass and overflow of raw sewage within the collection system or treatment plant. Do I hear a motion to adopt Resolution 050223?
I make a motion we adopt the resolution 050223.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider Resolution 050223A, MWPP Northeast Wastewater Treatment Plant. I introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 050223A, providing for the adoption of the Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Annual Report for MPDES permit number AL0020061 for the Northeast Wastewater Treatment Facility. The report sets forth the actions and schedule necessary to maintain effluent requirements contained in the permit and to prevent the bypass and overflow of raw sewage within the collection system or treatment plant. Do I hear a motion to adopt Resolution 050223A?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now have a request permission to purchase playground equipment for Parks and Recreation at the Weeda Street Park. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Billy Powell, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to purchase playground equipment from Game Time Struthers Recreation LLC at a cost of $41,902.12. The equipment will be purchased through an Omnia Partners U.S. Communities contract for use at Weeda Street Park. Do I hear a motion to consider this request?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now have a request permission to purchase the pavilion for Parks and Recreation, Weeda Street Park. I introduce and call for consideration of request from Billy Powell, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to purchase a 20 by 30 pavilion for Weeda Street Park from Baker Metal at a cost of $3,282. Do I hear a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the request to purchase the pavilion. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now designate the implementing transit provider for FY 2024 Section 5311 program. I call for a motion to designate the Southeast Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission, DBA Wiregrass Transit Authority, as the city's local implementing transit provider for the Section 5311 program. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a request to hire a seasonal student worker 2. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Human Resources Director Christina Meissner to hire 1 seasonal student worker 2 at an estimated cost not to exceed $4,600 through the end of the fiscal year. At this time, the current budget for sanitation should not have to be amended due to the vacancies in other positions, which would cover this additional cost and salary. If approved, the position will aid both Public Works and Engineering Department on tasks that would be beneficial to both departments and a student working towards a degree in those fields. Do I hear a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a street closure request for College Street. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Engineer Public Works Director Barry Mott to close College Street for 2 days during the week of May 8th through 12th, 2023 to install permanent striping on East College Street from Main Street to Edward Street and West College Street from Main Street to the railroad crossing. Closure dates will be determined based on weather conditions and the contractor schedule. Do I hear a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor, you have a report?
Thank you, Mr. President. The City of Enterprise was honored to participate in the Wiregrass Economic Development event as part of the Army Aviation Association of America convention last week in Nashville. We look forward to our continued partnership with both Novotel and the Army Aviation community. The 39th annual All Credit Union sale, truck, RV, and boat sale at the Enterprise City Center was a great success. Thank you to those who came and made a purchase. Sales from this event directly benefit those businesses and the City of Enterprise. Thank you again to all of the city department heads and workers that helped to make this pleasant experience for everyone. Thursday is Firefighter Appreciation Day in the City of Enterprise. These brave men and women are always ready and willing to respond to fire and other emergencies in our community, and we appreciate all they do. The water tower will be lit up red this week in their honor. You may have noticed that the progress of the incubator shipping container downtown. Our young Main Street volunteers have started painting murals. We look forward to that space opening and welcoming more small business owners downtown. And speaking of downtown, I want to continue to remind everyone that the barricades are set up for pedestrian safety. Please use them and only cross Main Street in a designated crosswalk. I would like to highlight a couple of events happening over the next 2 days. The National Day of Prayer is this Thursday, starting at noon out in front of City Hall. Also on Thursday, Enterprise City Schools is hosting its annual Spring Fling at Bates Memorial Stadium at 3:30. On Friday, join us downtown Enterprise for the Bo Weaver Block Party, starting at 3 o'clock. WTVY will be hosting a live broadcast as part of the Hometown Tour series. Come downtown to be a part of this great event in the heart of our city. Saturday is Festival in the Park at the Johnny Henderson Family Park, starting at 3 o'clock. This is a great opportunity to get outside with your family and friends and enjoy several free activities. The event has something for all ages. Live music starts at 5 and the fireworks over the pond will start about 8. Finally, remind them to stay up to date with what's happening in our city by visiting our website and following us on Facebook. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Sonia?
Thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'll speak kind of general to the comments that were made about the Airbnb properties near the school, some of which I said the school. And I'm not the professional about the database pedophiles, but we do have expertise that could offer that at such time. We spent countless work sessions, hearings, council meetings before passing an ordinance about anything about Airbnb, down to fire safety. There wasn't, I don't think, much we did not touch, but I'm certainly open to having, I'm sure this is not something that we're just going to never have any more conversation about. Certainly open to discuss whatever is necessary, but as far as collecting tax dollars, that was probably the least amount of time that we spent discussing on Airbnb. But certainly a valid concern. We definitely do not condone pedophiles in any of our neighborhoods or any of our neighbors, and we don't want any of our neighbors to feel insecure or unsafe. So I feel that from a council member's perspective, this is something that we need to discuss. Of course, we should be willing to do if necessary.
Anything else? Mr. Paget?
Also, like to thank everyone for coming tonight. And as far as the short-term rental goes, like to speak to that. At the time of passing of our ordinance, there were over 100 short-term rentals already operating in the city of Enterprise, with no record of who owned them and who was staying in those places. They were also already legally responsible by state law to be collecting occupancy taxes, but they were not paying them. We passed no additional taxes during that ordinance. There was nothing that we added for tax revenue. We simply gave the city a vehicle to be able to collect the revenue that was already required by law. We also, in this ordinance, made it to where we knew who was operating those and put together a database at City Hall of a contact list that they have to make a telephone number available for the city and the police department and the fire department if there's any issues, that they're able to contact the owner of that particular residence immediately, and they have to be able to, for emergencies. Almost everything mentioned tonight is already illegal in the ordinance. They also, I'm looking here at the ordinance. I was trying to quickly find it. I want to say that we require a minimum night stay in that, and so having someone different every single night is completely against the ordinance already. It's my understanding that none of this was reported to the police. Had it been reported to the police, could have been enforced and taken care of immediately. And so I feel like everything that was said tonight is actually already addressed in that ordinance. Not that I'm opposed to coming up with something to fix any issues that may have that may arise that we didn't think about during the process. But as Ms. Rich has already said, we spent a year of multiple meetings about this very issue, multiple hearings, had this room packed full of people on a couple of instances where we discussed this very thoroughly and tried to find all of the issues we could find before we passed an ordinance. Not to say we're perfect with that at all, because we're probably going to find something we need to fix in this ordinance. I know that's the case, but that's the way it is with a lot of things in city government. Things have unintended consequences, but we didn't create short-term rentals. They were already here. We didn't create a tax so that we could have more revenue. That was already on the books. All we did was created a way that we knew who was owning these places, and they are required to have a list of who's staying in those places, and a phone number that the police can be able to enforce this ordinance.
Yeah, I agree with it all. I couldn't say anything better than that. Thank you, Greg. Mr. Walker and I have had some conversations, and I provided, if anybody doesn't know it, the link to the ordinance and some other comments on that is all on our website, and I provided you those. So take a look at that, and get any questions, just let me know. I know you respond back today that you got it, so that's good. So we'll talk about.
Sir, you've had your time. Now's
and we'll keep it up front. We're gonna talk about it. I agree with Ms. Ridge. Thank you for coming. Thank you for everyone online, all our citizens that are watching us. The mayor mentioned the May 4th is the International Firefighters Day, and something to go along with that, May 6th and 7th is the National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Weekend, and we need to remember those firefighters who gave their lives to go in and save folks. And it's a busy weekend with a lot of things happening. So I want to say thank you now to all our city workers, because there's going to be a lot of city workers involved from this week all the way through Friday and Saturday with everything that's happening out there. So thank you for doing what you do for their city. Thank you.
Ditto what everybody said. I think most of us are on the same page here. I would like to reiterate what Mr. Paget said, that we didn't create short-term rentals in the city of Enterprise. They have been here for decades. They used to be called TDYs. Sir, I assure you that you've had short-term rentals in and around Enterprise for decades. This council did nothing to legalize short-term rentals. We simply regulated them. Obviously, as technologies have become available, they have become more prevalent. Obviously, with online apps, and I'm sure many people in this room have stayed in them as they've traveled. They've become very popular. I'm sorry y'all have had problems with them. I think you bring some legitimate concerns to the table. As Councilman Paget stated, many of the activities that y'all brought forward tonight are in fact illegal. Our job is to pass policy. If those policies are broken, otherwise called laws, are broken, then they need to be reported to the police. Whether that's noise ordinances, whether that's, I believe there's quiet times that are to be enforced. Now, you brought up covenants in your neighborhood. We do not enforce covenants. That would be a civil matter. If you feel that those are in violation of your covenants, then we're not the body to address those with. I'm certainly happy to discuss this more after the meeting. And Chief Moore, I would like, at some point, your feedback on the database and what those rules are. My assumption would be that they wouldn't be allowed to stay in those places. Doesn't mean they won't. Doesn't mean they're not already staying in as house guests in areas. There's many problems that can happen in short-term rentals that also happen in single family dwellings every night. I get calls all the time, complaints about neighbors who aren't in short-term dwellings that are having cars parked in the road, that are doing illegal things such as illicit activities and being loud and being just bad neighbors. That happens in normal houses that aren't short-term rentals. Like I said, I'm sorry that y'all have had problems. I'm happy to try to work with y'all through those. And if there's some specific changes that need to be made to the ordinance, I think we are certainly happy to consider those. But all right, we are adjourned. Everyone have a good evening. I was looking for that because